The time comes in every young man's life when he has to resort to drastic measures, guys. And for me, those measures have finally arrived, and I have built out my Trunda team with my resets, and I have Lanicus and Lydia here in 9-piece protection set for the buffs as well. So let's see how this goes. I'll do the start, we'll see how it goes, and then we'll take it from there. Oh, so that's the start of it now. We'll drop the hammer over here again. So turn 0, we're off to the races at 4.5 million. And we're resetting again. And we should be, from here on out, pretty damn good. But let's see how that goes. So this is going to be a big hit, hopefully. Loads of buffs on for Trunda. And oh my god, 19 million. If I can keep everybody slowed down now, this would be amazing. So I think from the looks of that, I think my Yumeko is maybe a little bit too fast there. Which is a shame. If I can get back round to... I made another mistake there in my eagerness. If I can get back around to Trunda with this now, that'll be fantastic. Oh, we can. I want to see. Right, so we're going from 30 million, okay? One hit, 30 million. We are going to 79 million. Oh my god, that is disgusting. Okay, so why... The why is important on this. Why have those numbers shot up like that? So there are several factors to this, okay? It's not just Trunda at work here. It is also the buffs on Trunda. And what do I mean by that? Any multipliers on Trunda after the hit get reapplied to all of the damage again, and it is all direct damage. So it kind of jumps up. I'm not going to say, we'll say exponentially because of how it's used colloquially, but it's not. It's probably not exponentially. But basically, if we look at this hit, attacks one enemy, then attacks all other enemies with a second hit, dealing 60% of the damage inflicted from the first hit. So, there's a load of different multipliers that come into this. And actually, I think what I'm going to do is maybe put the graphics up on the screen here. So, it's me, Die from the future. So, we were looking at this, and I wanted to break down the numbers, try and break down the numbers more easily digestible. So I've done a couple of things here. The first of which is, this is the number here that we have hit with this. So 1.44653 million with the one initial hit on that decapitated head. Okay, so that was with decreased defense, weaken, hex, the buffs on Trunda, all of that. That was just a normal hit. Nothing special going on there. The only reason that's so high is that's on normal and it's a decapitated head, so we can do more damage, okay? So that's getting the big number on there already. Now the tricky part, okay? So if we flip over, I have a spreadsheet, and the good news is it's only one line long. It's a small spreadsheet. So don't be afraid. And I've also colored it so it's not going to blind you when I switch over. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to drive this now and we'll talk through exactly what was happening. So this was our initial hit. This was the 1.446 million, 1.4 million, okay? So Trunda's A2 hits, does that damage, and then does 60% of the damage out to everybody else. Spreads it on out to all the other heads. Perfect. We all understand that. So why is it more than the initial hit? Here's why. Okay, so the spread effect, as you can see there, is 0.6 of the original. So that's what 0.6 is of the original, 867,000. All right, so that's grand. That's our starting point. That's what the number should be if it just did that. However, it also gets the buffs from everything else and the debuffs from everything else. So, decapitated heads take 200% of damage. So we're already multiplying that 800,000 by 2, and we have 1.7 million. So you'll notice we already have more than the original damage because we're doing a 60% spread and then we're multiplying it by 2, which gives 120%. Okay, so that's the first layer of multiplication, 1.7 million. Then we have 9-piece protection on Lanicus, and Lanicus, that will give us a 1.1 multiplier, so it's a 10% extra. So you multiply by 1.1 and we're up to 1.9 million. We have the same on Lydia, so 1.1 again, and we're up to 2.1 million. Then we have decreased defense, which I haven't calculated in, and that will speak to a difference later on. Then we have weaken, which is a 25. Anybody with weaken on them takes 25% more damage. So we multiply by 1.25 and we're up to 2.6 million. Then we have Heaven Cast on Trunda, which gives us a 4% damage increase because there's 4 buffs on and it's a 4-star blessing, I think I have. So we're up to 2.7 million there if we multiply by 1.01 or 1.04. Heart of Glory Mastery, that takes effect as well. A 5% increase, so we're multiplying by 1.05, 2.8 million. Single out another mastery, 8%, that's going to make a difference of. So we're up to 3.09 million. Bring it down as another mastery with a 6% increase. That's going to bring us to 3.2. Then our crit damage multiplier is 250. So we multiply by 2.5, and that brings us up to 820. No, not 820 million. That would be something. 8.2 million damage. So that is our final number. Now, the one thing I haven't factored in is decreased defense, and that is why that number doesn't match the number we have on screen, because I don't have access to the code, so I can't see where the interplay comes from with decreased defense, but I know it has some. Okay, so I know it does take effect, and I know it will be applied on the initial hit and then reapplied on the spread hit as well. And that is why when we apply everything out, we'll come out with a figure of 13.4 million. After everything is applied. But these here are all of the buffs and debuffs and masteries that we can control. And I wasn't taking advantage of all of them. And that's why I wasn't getting the super high scores that some people were. But now I know about them, and now you know about them, and now you know the why about them as well, and how they get reapplied to that spread damage. So every other damage increase multiplier that you can get, gets reapplied back out to that again, and it just causes the numbers to explode. And that's why I was able to triple my damage. Like this. And just annihilating stuff all over the place. So we're in turn 5 with 100 million damage. And this is perfectly balanced and reasonable. And there's no problems with it at all, guys. And that is the final turn. 3.35 billion. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So that is 1 hour and 33 minutes, 1,500 turns, 3.35 billion. Trunda doing 2.87 of it. Yumeko doing a 39 million. Lydia with 48 million. Lanicus with 20. Nia with 14. And as I mentioned, one of the Nias is in Hex set. Can you guess which one it is? So yes, this Nia is in Hex set. Now, I should also have everybody in War Master. I don't at the moment, unfortunately. But that's where all her damage came from, is having that cursed set out and being used from Lanicus's ally attack. So that is really good. I'm going to keep that result. If we go here and we look and we go recently used first, I will show you all of the builds. So Lanicus, I mentioned we have a 9-piece protection, and that is purely because we want to be able to have the bonus from the protection set. If we look at her stats, she's at 274 speed. Accuracy and resistance are not terribly important at all. I had her in higher resistance at one stage because she was there for the corpulent cadaver teams. Some survivability, and that's it really. You don't need anything much on her. I have no masteries on her. If I had her in War Master, it would do some work for me. Again, polymorph, not a great blessing for Hydra especially, so I could change that for sure. And the only thing I have booked out is her A2, because it lowers the cooldown of that and helps me out. Then we have Lydia. Now, I was trying something out earlier on and I had to change Lydia's masteries, so she's not actually masteried out either. She does have all her books, however. She is in cruelty, and that helps us out a fair bit as well. She's also been put in 9-piece of protection, and I'll show you what I mean about the damage buff. So 75% chance to place a protected buff, and allies deal 5% more damage per each buff placed by wearer. So both herself and Lanicus place 2 buffs each, which means your nuker will be dealing 20% more damage, and that also factors in to the weird multiplication that happens with Trunda's A2 after her single hit. And that's hugely important. That has boosted my damage there by triple. That is triple my highest score I have ever done. That is by far and away the highest score I have ever done there. So Yumeko, then we are in just a mishmash of stuff. She's 286 speed, high resistance and accuracy. That's just for other arena shenanigans. Her masteries are in the defense and support tree. Nothing majorly important about the gear or indeed the masteries there. She got all her damage because she places Hex on the A2, and that's it. She's just there to be a reset machine and the engine that keeps on pumping everybody else's that moves. Trunda literally just built and thrown together today. She only needs 70% crit rate, and that's because Lanicus is giving her the other 30% crit rate. Now, we can increase all of the ascensions on all of this stuff, and we will do that. We actually can use some glyphs on some of these and re-roll some of these, so it's far from perfect, but we definitely can get better scores out of this, and we will as well. So not bad for a first pass. But decent stats, 70% crit rate, 248 crit damage, 6.5k attack, and no need for res or accuracy or whatever. 57k HP and 2.5k defense. Just grand, and she's in Slayer there, which gives us ignore 30% of enemy defense when using AoE skills. Now, I don't think that works for her A2, but so I have to check that out. I think I'd much prefer in lethal or merciless, but that's what the optimizer spat out at me today. So Nia, then, I did say she was in provoke, and that comes in handy sometimes. She should really only ever be using her A1 when we do ally attack. Otherwise, she's using her A2, which is the reset and heal, and she uses that on Yumeko the whole time. The only other time she will use the A2 not on Yumeko is if people are low on health. You should probably heal up Nia, one of the Nias with the other Nia, and vice versa. And what that will do is heal everybody as well because of her passive, because they all get healed by 20% of that heal, so it becomes an AoE. So it's really good. I just realised something else. So instead of the provoke set, what you could do is put War Master on this Nia, take the provoke set off, and put her in a lifesteal set. So that will keep everybody healed all the time. Now, if you do that, you want to put her also in not emergency heal. You want to put her in, where are we? Miracle heal, because that will also restore destroyed max HP, which will mitigate the passive of one of the heads, which destroys your max HP every time you're healed. So that would be that's how I'm going to actually redo her. And then the other one is in Hex, and that's just to keep Hex out there as much as possible. No masteries on her yet, and she's booked out. No blessing on her either. I did mean to mention as well, Trunda, the best blessing I think for her at the moment is Heaven Cast. At this level, at other levels, it would be crushing rend for sure. But at the level that she's at, which is a 3-star, Heaven Cast is great. Yeah, Heaven Cast is great because it increases damage inflicted by this champion according to the number of buffs on them, and it doesn't increase the damage from poison, HP burn, and bombs, which is irrelevant to us at the moment. But for each buff on Trunda at the moment, she gets 1% damage as well, so she could have up to 10 buffs on her, I suppose. With this team, I think I seen the most was about 10, and that's from getting some buffs off some of the heads as well when you kill them. So that was an 8% buff that she could have running around. If we even got it up to 5-star, she'd have the extra crit damage, which would be huge. And we would, let's see, if we had the 8, we'd be looking at 12% damage across the board as well, which would be fantastic. So really good. And I suppose another way you could go with that, if you did have accuracy on her, would be looking at Nature's Wrath. At a big enough level, you could get a flat 15% if you were getting that the HP burn out onto them rather as well, because once you do that a few times, you wouldn't have to use it anymore, and it would be permanently applied for the rest of the run. So that's my Hydra team. That's it. That was an hour and a half or more of my life there, guys. So I hope you appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you need anything or have any questions around this Hydra team or anything else like this. Please drop me a line, drop me a comment, like and subscribe, and I will answer your questions, and I will catch you in the next one.